Hey, my name is Kyle Fritz. I'm the Public Information Officer for Liberty Lake Police Department, as well as a patrol officer.
Welcome to the Liberty Lake Deep Dive, the city podcast of Liberty Lake, Washington. I'm David Gaynor here in the vast broadcast studios of City Hall. And on this show, we are going to share with you a lot of very helpful information about the people nobody likes. Porch Pirates. Officer Kyle Fritz of the Liberty Lake Police Department is going to be here to give you many tips on the many things you can do to ensure that your home deliveries get into your hands and not into the criminal hands of somebody you don't know and don't like who wants to take away what's come to your door. Officer Fritz is also going to talk about some home surveillance equipment you might want to consider getting, maybe ordering through a secured home delivery, and what you can do if you or somebody in your neighborhood becomes a victim of porch piracy. And he's even going to talk about what you can do to avoid losing property that's inside your car. This show is one you'll want to listen all the way through to the very end, and it all begins right after Summer Darrow of the Community Engagement Commission makes her delivery of today's Know Your Liberty Lake trivia question.
This is Summer Darrow of the Community Engagement Commission. What year did Damon Simmons begin his duties as Chief of the Liberty Lake Police Department? Pick a year, and we'll see if it's the correct answer when we get to the end of this show.
Officer Kyle Fritz, first of all, let's establish, how long have you been with the Liberty Lake Police Department?
So I've been with Liberty Lake for 2.5 years now. I come with prior experience working for Post Falls Police. I started there in 2021, and my original start date in law enforcement was actually in 2014 when I began working for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. And you added the Public Information Officer role since you started, correct? Yeah, that's correct. I have some experience working in media, marketing, PR stuff, and I was able to apply that here at Liberty Lake. And after a short bit of doing some of the social media management, I was taken on as the Public Information Officer. So now, as a part-time gig to being a police officer, I get to supervise the social media as well as composing any press releases and any media contacts.
Well, you are the information pro with the police department. Let's get into some sharing of information. We want to talk about the least liked people in the entire Liberty Lake surrounding area, porch pirates, correct?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. That's been a focus of some of my social media content. I want to push awareness as best as I can to the public here. Ultimately, I've been a victim of it myself, so I totally understand the frustrations that comes with it. And even more frustrating as we get closer to the holidays when we want to be able to pass our loved ones those special gifts that we get them. And it is such a discouraging thing to show up at your door when you expect a package and everything's missing.
Okay, should we start off with tips, things people can do at their home to stop these people?
When it comes down to tips and tricks, there's so many under the sun that you could talk about. I've broken it down to some key points that can help just your general person out with how they can prepare themselves, not only for prevention, but also to aid investigations if they do fall victim. So talking about the deliveries, I always like to talk on some key points of managing your deliveries. One of those being requesting delivery notifications. Most of our carriers are going to give you an opportunity to be notified via email or text anytime your packages are delivered. Even USPS has now added a feature of informed delivery for even as little as just your general mail. So that's one of the main things that you can do to be notified, in a sense, on when that package is getting there and give you that kind of sense of urgency to get it off the porch or maybe contact a neighbor to do so for you. Each carrier also usually will have an opportunity for you to schedule your delivery. So if you know that you're going to be away, try to schedule that delivery for when you'll be home. How
big of a problem is porch piracy in the Liberty Lake area? We see these things on Facebook from time to time. We see camera recordings. We see people putting a post saying, hey, I had something that was delivered. It's not there. Did you get it? How big of a problem are we dealing with in Liberty Lake?
It definitely is an issue that I would say is common. Right now, for the month of November, and I'll get into more stats in a bit here, but right now, the month of November, we're only seeing so far 10 cases of reported property thefts. Now, pulling those stats, it doesn't mean that each one of those incidents was a package theft. That's going to be theft from a residence. That does not include entering the residence, so it will not include any burglaries. It does not include vehicle prowling, which would be entering the vehicle. So this is just property outside, on the porch, something like that someone has stolen. And again, that's only been 10 this month.
What else can residents do to manage their deliveries?
One of the other key points here would be to request signature. I don't believe all carriers are going to give you this opportunity, but a lot of them will allow you to request a signature upon delivery. So if nobody's home, they'll try again, they'll leave you a slip, you can pick it up from the store, whatever it may be. But having that requirement can sometimes be inconvenient if you think you'll be home and now you got to go to the store to pick it up. But I'd rather that personally than losing the package completely and having to go through the reporting process. Also, if you happen to be away from town or out of the area or late to show up at home unexpectedly, I always tell people, just leave a note for the delivery guy. A lot of them are friendly enough and they don't want your package stolen either. Leave a quick note for them, telling them to hide it in whatever specific location, behind the fence, behind a pot, whatever it is. What I always say though is make sure you leave an additional note on there to discard the note after they leave. Otherwise, that suspect might find the note and look in that right place.
Yeah, what's the point then?
Yeah, exactly.
One tip I don't ever see published anywhere, but it's a tip that I had a former coworker at a previous job mention to me. I want to know your opinion on this. Having your packages delivered to your place of work, good idea or bad idea?
Well, I think that's going to depend on the workplace. I think that could be a great idea. I imagine that there's going to be some complications to that. For example, a construction guy. Is he actually going to be going into an office or any kind of location where he would be able to pick up that package? Probably not. Well, to be honest with you, anything that I need equipment-wise, personal equipment for work, I actually have it delivered to the station, so I think it's a great idea.
Uber driver probably would not work so well.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so getting into a next topic here, I like to encourage people to consider the use of technology. As technology has come around, it's gotten really, really good quality to secure your home. And I don't mean just general home security systems. I mean the use of recordings. So any type of video camera surveillance that you could get for your house, that's going to be a key component. Now, that being said, I'm not saying fully, Fort Knox your house with these cameras, but having a camera near your porch facing in the direction where individuals' faces can be recorded. I've had some video footage come in as evidence, and it's angled in a way that all you see is the side of the person as they walk up, and that isn't as helpful. So positioning it as best as possible so that you can capture the person's face as they're walking up.
What's the ideal place to position that camera?
Usually it's going to be right next to your door. Now, every front porch is going to be different. You might have an extended porch and a small gate around it. So it really is going to depend on the positioning of the door, as well as where does your delivery guy typically drop off those packages. And a lot of times, delivery drivers, they have their own areas. So get to know your delivery guys and see if you can start directing them to place the package in a specific spot.
Are there specific brands of security devices that you would recommend, or types?
Everybody knows the most common brands. As far as types go, I personally really like the doorbell one. However, with the level that doorbells are typically at can be a bit lower, and doorbells are usually more fisheye lens than others. So they capture such a wide plane of view that capturing details of the suspect can also be sometimes complicated.
Now, not that you should be leaving your packages in your front door overnight, but to what degree do these cameras show faces in the dark?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Usually to get good details in the dark, it's going to have to be a pretty hefty system. A lot of times those ones will be wired security cameras in your network. So the use of any camera really is better than none. And a lot of times, these suspects, they pick up on trends. They know people are using cameras. Sometimes they're not afraid of it. But the idea of getting the cameras is to provide law enforcement with as much information as possible so that we can start tracking them down. And even if they show up on your front porch with a mask on, hopefully we can still get an angled view of how they came onto your property. So whether they arrived on foot or drove up in a car. Now that leads me into my second recommendation, which is if you can have a second camera covering your driveway or your front yard angled towards the roadway. That way we can potentially have a viewpoint of what vehicle they've arrived in. We have technology these days that allows us to start tracking down. It's not a perfect system, but it is extremely resourceful for us.
Anything else residents should know regarding technology that they can use at their home?
Yeah, well, finishing up on the note of cameras, some of these cameras do have features that will send you motion alerts. In fact, a lot of the network ones do, and I haven't come across one, as long as it's connected to your home internet, that it doesn't alert you based on your settings and preferences. But some of them also chime anytime movement is detected. Now, I get it. That can be somewhat annoying if you're at home doing some yard work or if you're trying to enjoy some time on your front porch. But
Well, you want to know if somebody's out there, though.
exactly, yeah. And kind of nice that some of them, you can disable the chime anytime that you are home. So you can choose to disable it so it's not bothering you. But while you're away or while you're asleep, if someone is walking up on your front porch and they hear a chime, it's actually kind of great. It triggers them to look directly towards where that sound is coming from, which will give us a good viewpoint of their face.
Okay, we've talked about cameras. I have an alarm system in my house. Is there other technology people can use to try to put a halt to these people?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is actually not so commonly known, but Amazon has a service that I've not actually used before, but you can upgrade your garage motors to be Wi-Fi connected. And that enables the delivery guy through the Amazon app to open your garage door temporarily to deliver those packages in, and then your garage door will close. Now, I haven't gotten into that, like I said, with personal use, but I do know that it's a feature. What I have personally used is a device for my garage door opener that does enable it via Wi-Fi, and that will send me notifications anytime it's left open. So if I'm aware that the delivery guy's there, I can also see the motion on my camera, open the garage for him, and close it from anywhere that I'm connected to the internet.
Now, this is kind of intriguing. So, do you know, is the coding for the garage door connected into the coding for the package, or does it go directly to the deliverer? How does that work?
From what I've seen in the Amazon settings, you can partner it up with those devices. It goes along with a lot of the other smart home devices. I've heard of some people who even have their lights flash when a delivery is made by Amazon. But this one, so that you can actually secure the package, will be tied into the app, and the driver essentially on his end or her end will say that they're there to make the delivery, and it'll open the garage for them. So it doesn't give them the ability to just open it any time. So after the delivery, it can't be opened. And what's nice about it too is these apps, one of them, the one that I've used, is called MyQ, and it will alert me anytime the garage is left open for an extended period of time.
What about next door neighbors, neighborhood watch programs? How effective can this be to stop these people?
Yeah, I encourage all to, well, be neighborly, really. Get to know your neighbors. Get to know those who maybe could help you out. If you get a package and you know that you're going to be late to picking it up, give them a call. See if they could secure it either on your property or secure it at their house for you until you can come grab it from them. Also, you can be there for them too.
What if it's the neighbor who's doing this?
Yeah, that wouldn't help so much. But another thing that you can also do, and it actually really helps law enforcement, is get to know those in your neighborhood who also have cameras. I've come across some instances where the victim said, hey, this neighbor has cameras, that neighbor has cameras, but I don't yet. Well, okay, cool. Hey, at least we got something out of it.
You know, sometimes I see these house videos, surveillance footage, clips on Facebook, etc. What does the police do with those?
These ones are typically routed to Crime Check. And Crime Check then creates the report, and that report gets forwarded to our investigative team and gets assigned to officers. It's either going to be assigned to a field officer if, for example, the gathering of evidence will be done out in the field, and then it could get referred over to a detective, or it's going to get assigned directly to a detective. It's kind of a circumstantial or case-by-case basis. Once we receive those, we review the case. We, let's say, drive around the neighborhood looking for cameras, contact people who might have video footage, and we go from there. Ultimately speaking, cases are different each time. There's something new. It can go as far as us utilizing search warrants and tracking GPS of cell phones to a full extent to determine whether that person was there that time and place.
You mentioned Crime Check. Let's say whether you're the victim or you're across the street and you saw something kind of suspicious that happened. In what occasions should a person call Crime Check, call 911, call the Liberty Lake Police Department? Who gets which types of calls?
That, again, is going to depend, really. So I will reiterate that if you see something suspicious, definitely call Crime Check. If it's not a 911 emergency type of situation, Crime Check will either take a report if needed, or they will actually create a call for service for law enforcement to look into it. Now, we're really blessed to be in such a great place as Liberty Lake. Suspicious things stick out like sore thumbs. So if the hairs are sticking up on the back of your neck, just go right ahead, pick up the phone, make that call, and we'll be there as soon as we can to check it out.
What are some things that people can watch for? Maybe they're not necessarily getting a package, but they see somebody suspicious. What are some of the telltale signs of, like, I'm concerned that this car keeps following the local delivery truck, sort of a thing?
Yeah, that's a huge one. And I've actually gone to a call for service like that called in by the delivery driver, where he was able to recognize that someone had been following him around to multiple areas. And so for the general public, like I said, usually it sticks out like a sore thumb. Be aware of your surroundings. Get to know your neighbors, you'll get to know their habits, and ultimately speaking, a lot of these suspects, they show evidence that they're up to no good. They'll be eyeing houses as they pass by, they'll pass by more than once, they'll slow down. If you take a look around and you happen to see packages on that porch, you're probably right about what's about to happen. Just being aware of individuals who are spending a little bit too much time, often under the cover of darkness, or maybe looking away when you turn their direction.
Do we know some general common characteristics about the people who are doing this? Their backgrounds, their income level, their criminal history? What are some common threads with some of these people?
Well, these days in law enforcement, we do our best to not stereotype in a situation like this. But yeah, when it comes down to it, it's usually not their first time. I'll say that much. But I have seen thieves, for lack of a better word, of all shapes and sizes and all kinds. So really, there's no way to narrow it down. It can be a 10-year-old from down the street. It can be somebody in their late 60s, 70s, or even older. Sometimes it really surprises you.
I've watched some of these YouTube videos of people who are pranking their packages to try to retaliate against these people. What is your opinion about people purposely booby-trapping a package or confronting a package thief when they're coming up to their front porch?
Yeah, well, I've seen a couple of those videos too, and I love them, man. Those are really funny to watch.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing for residents to be doing?
Well, those ones that I've seen, they do it pretty good, which tells me that they've been practicing for a long time. From my perspective, being in public safety, I would just urge people to be a qualified informant or a qualified witness or a very prepared victim. So do whatever you can to get as much information for law enforcement while being as safe as possible. Do not intervene if there's any possible threat to your safety, because we never know what to expect from these individuals who are willing to do these crimes.
What should a person do if they happen to be in the house, they see somebody approaching their front steps? Should they act or not? And how should they act?
It's going to be one of those things you're going to know your gut instinct. I would say give law enforcement a call, make sure that your door is locked. Find a place that you feel safe inside the house and just act like you're not home while you're talking to law enforcement. We'll come and check it out for you. There's plenty of times where I've responded to an instance where somebody just unexpected happened to show up. And one of the times it was actually one of our local Domino's delivery guys. And the lady said she didn't order Domino's. I ended up checking in on that, and it turned out to just be a wrong address. So not a big deal, but we'll still come out.
Do you want to tell us about some of your success stories, some of the department's success stories in halting these creeps?
Yeah, so law enforcement as a whole has had great success, and one of those things is primarily technology, not just used at the residence like we have spoken about, but technology accessible to law enforcement. I don't want to elaborate too much because we don't like giving away our tips and tricks, but it's not hard to catch up to somebody, and it's very likely that they'll make some sort of a mistake that leads us down a path to identifying them. One of the funny examples was I had a porch pirate situation, and as the suspect fled from not wanting to be spotted by the camera for at least too long, he dropped his cell phone out of his back pocket. And we were able to use that cell phone to get a search warrant and extract the owner data, and we were able to identify who this person was. And it was accurate. It matched description and everything. So there's technology out there that really supports our efforts. And when it comes down to it, we have a lot of tenacious staff members here at Liberty Lake Police Department who want to get there as soon as possible and want to solve the crimes. Like I mentioned earlier, I really encourage, if you see something, say something. We can't be in every place at every moment, so tell us where to be and we'll be there.
Does porch thievery, this is sort of a dumb question, I'm going to ask it anyway. Does porch thievery increase during Christmas time?
Yeah.
How badly does it increase, I should ask?
It does. It really does. If people follow us on Facebook, if you don't and you're online, feel free to give us a follow. I do try to put out some content that could be helpful for either you or some family members. And this includes fraud protection measures as well as protecting yourself from thieves like this. So it does go up in the holidays, really. I pulled some statistics to compare last year to this year, and focusing in a bit on the holiday season. Last year, November, we actually hit 36 reports of thefts from residential properties. So far this year, and gosh, we're 2/3 of the month and more.
We are recording this shortly before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and so as we're 2/3 or more through the month already, we're only sitting at 10 reports of this. So great work to everybody who's taken these steps to protect their property. Now, comparing the other months, September 2024, we had 19 reports. October, same year, we had 18. Again, November, we had 36. Now, it really jumps up in December. We had 87 reports of thefts from residential properties in December of 24. So I'm really hoping that your efforts, thank you for the invite to do this, and our efforts as an agency really bring that number down this year. So far to compare, the numbers this year, September, we've had 21. October, we had 16. And again, to reiterate, November this year, we're only at 10. So far, looking good.
And we're talking city limits or surrounding area?
Yeah, these statistics are pulled from within our city limits.
Will these thieves be deterred a bit if they think somebody is at home, whether they may be at home or not?
There are some that are brave enough to where that's not a full-time deterrent. So, leaving porch lights on, things like that to show that you might be. Now, having a car in the driveway is helpful, but that leads us into kind of that 9 p.m. routine. It's always good if you make sure you park your car in the garage versus in the driveway just to protect your car. But I understand that leaving a car in the driveway, some people choose to do that to show that someone is home.
Side note to what you just mentioned, having the car in the driveway, I'm stunned by the number of people that it's even more than one who don't lock their doors of their vehicle,
Yep.
who leave grabbable things in their vehicle. Would you want to give people, please, some tips about basically saying, don't do that?
Yeah. Definitely. These few steps, a lot of agencies like to call this the 9 p.m. routine. And what that really means is before you go to bed. So the general checklist before you go to bed is make sure nothing's visible in your car. Take your purses out. Go even further and take your valuables out completely. Don't just hide them. We've had guns stolen from center consoles. We've had laptops stolen from underneath seats. So even if things aren't visible, it's good to pull them out before you go to bed. Another thing that I recommend if you utilize a garage door remote is removing the garage door remote from your car because that gives them direct access. I've got multiple times where I've had victims who locked everything down, but they had their car broken into and the garage door remote taken. The garage door was then accessed and the man door into the home was then accessed because that is common for people to leave unlocked. So do whatever it takes to keep yourself safe. It can be a bit tedious these days to have to be concerned about these things. Unfortunately, it's the time that we're in right now, and hopefully all of our efforts together can really continue to combat this. Outside of that, we kind of talked about leaving lights on. You don't have to leave them on all night, but at least have motion lights.
Okay, Kyle, final things, last things you want people to know about. What are the most important things we need to really reiterate here?
I would say that the most important thing is really just your own self-awareness. Be aware of the situation that your packages are very, very likely to fall into someone else's hands if you leave them out for too long. Being aware of your surroundings when it comes to just keeping an eye on your own neighborhood. Be aware of what could happen and do your best to avoid it. All of these little steps and tips and tricks, it's not going to be a solve-all to everything, but you being more aware is going to be the key component to helping you not fall victim to this. Keep your property safe, keep things locked up while you're away, and if anything does happen, be sure to report it immediately so we can get started on solving the crime.
If anybody wants to go ahead and do the prank package, is it okay to put that on YouTube?
Be sure to send me the link. I'd appreciate it.
Officer Kyle Fritz, thank you tremendously for this information, and hopefully this information stops a few people at least.
Thanks, David. I really appreciate the time to be able to do this, to share the information. I want to make sure our community is as safe as it can be. It's been a great time with you.
And now Summer Darrow is back to legally take the microphone for the answer to today's Know Your Liberty Lake trivia question.
What year did Damon Simmons begin his duties as chief of the Liberty Lake Police Department? Chief Simmons started that job in December of 2020. He started his current assignment with the LLPD after more than 17 years with the Spokane County Sheriff's Office.
Our huge thanks to Officer Kyle Fritz for his wealth of really useful advice in helping you keep your purchases, when they're delivered to your home. And absolutely our ongoing thanks to all the members of the Liberty Lake Police Department, as well as the folks at Crime Check, for responding to the call when the reports of property thefts do occur. We all appreciate it when they help make justice happen. So please join us again, maybe using whatever new listening equipment that's been delivered to your home, for another installment of the Liberty Lake Deep Dive.